Tonight, why thousands of city dollars are being used to tear down a building that's privately owned.
Our Marlo Lundak spoke with a city official and is on your side tonight with an answer.
From the sidewalk or the street, this 4-unit apartment complex near 29th and Pacific Streets looks to be in good shape. The windows are new and the paint looks decently fresh. But Omaha City Planning Director says the inside tells a different story.
We've had that site under code enforcement since 2016. A number of code violations happening at the location.
Repeated code violations. For a while, Fans Law says the issues and violations were being addressed, but not anymore.
There were some attempts to repair it, but since about last November, we haven't heard from the property owner. All communication has stopped.
Now, the empty building is becoming a hazard. That's why the city is spending just over $60,000 to tear it down. City Council is set to approve its demolition on Tuesday.
We've heard from OPD, the Omaha Police Department, that it's kind of a spot where people will break in, vagrants will live there. It's become unsafe and unsightly, to tell you the truth, for the neighborhood, and really more unsafe than anything.
It's becoming reminiscent of the Flora apartments. After residents were evicted in early 2022, the building, riddled with code violations and deemed unsafe, sat vacant for more than a year. But OPD and Omaha Fire were called there several times as homeless community members continued to seek shelter in the building. A major fire in May was the building's final blow before the property owner decided to pay to tear it down. Fans Law says tearing down this building on 29th and Pacific is the safest option.
So anytime we have a property like that, that we've tried to bring into compliance with any kind of code enforcement issues we have, and when they stop communicating with us, when it becomes a dangerous building, we tend to demo those buildings.
After its demolition, the site's future remains uncertain. On your side in Omaha, Marlo Lundak, 6 News.
Again, Omaha City Council is set to vote tomorrow on whether or not to spend over $60,000 to demolish the building. They tear down about 40 to 50 properties around the city every year.